Good evening and welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. If you could please rise and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kraskowiak.
Here.
Councilmember Rauer. Councilmember Novak.
Here.
Councilmember Geisler.
Here.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here.
One absent, Ray Rauer.
All right, thank you. Why don't we get our agenda adopted?
Motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Motion by Carlson and a second by Novak to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the agenda is adopted. And we have some special guests here tonight. The women of today, if you'd like to meet me in the front of the dais here.
Right there.
We're going to go right over here, right in the middle. That way Steve's got his camera, and then any pictures have the city of Coon Rapids behind you, which is what we like, you know. All right, first, I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us what you've been up to. How's that?
Okay.
All right. It's a proclamation for the Coon Rapids Women of Today Day. Whereas the Coon Rapids Women of Today, charted as part of the Women of Today and United States Women of Today, chapter February 29th, 2016, and I'll do better with moving along here, sorry. Whereas women of today believe that through us, great lessons can be learned, worthy deeds performed, and a hand of fellowship extended to millions of women everywhere. And whereas the Minnesota Women of Today and the Coon Rapids Women of Today are dedicated to actively promoting such public awareness and service programs such as the Minnesota Milk Bank for Babies, Wishes and More, Breaking Free, Crescent Cove, as well as projects, educational programs, and fundraisers for the Coon Rapids area, such as yearly donations to the Alexandra House, back-to-school drives, volunteer at ACBC Food Shelf, and participate in the Coon Rapids Chili Challenge and Snowflake Days. And whereas the Minnesota Women of Today and the Coon Rapids Women of Today provide personal enrichment and leadership training for members of all ages and demographics through our belief in the advancement through equity and inclusion. And now, therefore, I, Jerry Cook, Mayor of the City of Coon Rapids, on behalf of the Coon Rapids City Council, hereby proclaim July 1st, 2023 to be Coon Rapids Women of Today Day in the City of Coon Rapids, proclaimed this 20th day of June, 2023. Would you like to introduce yourself and maybe share a little bit what you've been up to? I mean, it seems like we've covered a lot of it here.
I'm Lori Juliet, and I've been a member for a couple of years and currently working on the ACBC project, which we'll continue to do, and looking at Hope for Youth, also partnering with them. And we've got approval from the city, I believe, Lori Anderson. We're going to hold a fundraiser out in the parking lot here on July 22nd to raise donations for the homeless in Anoka County. So those are two of the things that I've been working on personally.
I'm Veronica Keeney, and I've been with the club about the same amount of time. And in August, a big one for us is the Love Your Neighbor. It's got a new name this year, but we'd really like to see everybody out, and we'll have lemonade.
So, well, hang on to that. So tell us about Love Your Neighbor. So when is that then? Or where is it going to be?
It's over at the soccer fields, and I believe it's the day before the night to night. Yes.
Okay, that's right. Monday night before the night to night. Okay.
Right, and we'll also be running a poster contest there for the kids.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Here's your proclamation. Thank you very much for coming in. Nice meeting you. Have a good night. Let's look at the minutes from the previous meeting.
Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 6, 2023 council meeting.
Second?
Motion by Griscoviac and a second by Carlson to approve the minutes of the June 6th, 2023 council meeting. Is there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. We have 5 items on our consent agenda this evening. The first one is to approve the waiver of certain fees for the 4th of July celebration. The Coon Rapids Community Strength Foundation, Coon Rapids Fire Relief Association, and the Coon Rapids North Star Alliance have requested waiver of the carnival, fireworks display, 4th of July parade, and 5K run walk fees for the annual 4th of July celebration. Historically, these fees have been waived for this community event. While the clerk's office has the authority to issue the licenses, any fee adjustments must be approved by the city council. So we're looking to approve the waiver of the carnival, fireworks display, 4th of July parade, and 5K run walk license fees for the 2023 4th of July celebration. The next item on our consent agenda, which is item 4 tonight, is to accept the 2022 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. The City Council held a work session just prior to this meeting, July 20th, to review the 2022 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report with the city's external auditors, Clifton Larson Allen, LLP. Once approved, an electronic copy of this report will be made available on the city's website. And then in addition, a new popular annual financial report is being introduced this year to accompany the financial statements. And this report was created to provide a high-level, simplified, and easy-to-read summary of the city's financial position for residents and other interested party using data from the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This will also be available on the city's website. And if you've ever sat down and tried to read the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, I can tell you, you will appreciate the summary. Let's see, following council acceptance, the report will be submitted to the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, for consideration in the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Program. And the city has participated in and received recognition from this program since 1975. So we're looking to accept the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the year ended December 31st, 2022. The third item on our consent agenda, which is item 5, is to adopt Resolution 23-71, accepting Source Water Protection Plan Implementation Grant and approve an agreement with the state of Minnesota. Wellhead protection is a way to prevent drinking water from becoming polluted by managing potential sources of contamination in areas that supply water to public wells. City staff continuously investigate and research opportunities to ensure safe drinking water by implementing wellhead protection standards that protect the city's groundwater and wells. Staff will work with our consultant, Bar Engineering, to complete the grant activities outlined in the attached agreement. The work tasks include updating the potential contaminant source inventory within the city's drinking water supply management area using data from county, state, and federal databases. So we're looking to adopt Resolution 2371, accepting the $8,525 grant from the state of Minnesota, acting through its commissioner of the Department of Health. It is further recommended, we will also approve the execution of the attached grant agreement between the city of Coon Rapids and the state of Minnesota. Item 6, which is the fourth item on our consent agenda, adopt Resolution 23-73, declaring participation with the Council on Local Results and Innovations State Performance Measurement Program. Cities that choose to participate in the program in 2023 are eligible for a reimbursement of 14 cents per capita from the state, or approximately $8,900 for Coon Rapids. The city must file a report with the Office of the State Auditor by July 1st, and this report must include a resolution that commits the city to developing a performance measurement system and providing the 2022 data for a minimum of 10 performance measurements, 10 performance measures that have been established by the CLRI. The city has developed the materials necessary to participate in the program for 2023. And if the city's participation is approved by council, staff will submit data for the measures and attached resolution to the Office of the State Auditor. And the city will also report the data on the city website in order to comply with an additional program requirement. So we're looking to adopt Resolution 23-73, declaring the city's participation with the Council on Local Results and Innovations Performance Measures Program for 2023. And the fifth and final item on our consent agenda, which is item 7, is to approve a new T-Mobile lease amendment for the Crooked Lake Water Tower. The city and VoiceStream Wireless Corporation, now known as T-Mobile, entered into a site lease agreement on July 22nd, 2002, to allow T-Mobile to lease space on the Crooked Lake Water Tower for telecommunication purposes. The original lease agreement had a 5-year initial term with 3 additional 5-year options, which were exercised. City staff and T-Mobile have negotiated the attached lease amendment to extend the lease for an initial 5-year term with 3 additional 5-year options. So we're looking to authorize approval and execution of the second amendment to the site lease agreement with T-Mobile Central LLC. And then that, I'm sorry, I should mention, under the current lease, T-Mobile's rent in 2022 was $38,256.36. That is, I'm sorry, and that is our complete consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler.
I will move adoption and approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Geisler and a second by Novak. Is there any discussion or questions about the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac?
just make a quick comment on the annual comprehensive financial report. We were just in that work session. I think it's worth noting that, the finance department did a great job, and we earned actually the highest rating that the audit company can give. So I think we did great there. I did have a question regarding the lease amendment on the Crooked Lake Water Tower, and I think that'd probably be for our city attorney. The packet only included the amendment. It didn't have the original agreement, so I haven't seen that. But just one quick question. The original agreement was entered into in 2002, 20 years ago. Is there built-in inflation and rate increases in the lease agreement, in the original agreement? Or are we looking at rates from 20 years ago?
Mr. Buccione?
Mr. Mayor, I can look into that for you, Councilmember Griscoviac. I know I reviewed it broad strokes. I don't know if there's inflation adjustments within it. I didn't go down into that level of the language.
You're going to have to approve the bill before you have time to read the bill.
Oh, exactly. Which I'm not comfortable with. But I'm sure it has been looked at, and I'm sure we have out clauses and, if we need to, right, to get out of an agreement if it isn't beneficial to the taxpayers of Coon Rapids.
Okay.
That was the only question I had.
And were you satisfied with the answer?
I will be satisfied with the answer when I get the information. I'm good.
Any other questions or clarification you need for the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. We're up to item 8, which is new business. Consider Resolution 23-74 awarding the sale of $10 million general obligation improvement and utility revenue bonds, Series 2023A. Ms. Hanson, are you going to introduce our friend?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. We're here to consider award of bonds that were sold today, and we have Nick Anhut from Ellers that will discuss our ratings that we received from Moody's, as well as update us on the amount. So we're able to resize the issue, so Nick will discuss that.
Thank you. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Nick Anhut with Ellers and Associates, and it's good to see you all again. And I do come bearing some good news from today. Just to recap, an estimated amount of $10 million was being sought for purposes of borrowing for the 23-1 street reconstruction project, as well as various water system improvements that were adopted within the city's capital improvement plan. All told together, $10 million, split apart, about $2.8 million for the street improvement portion to be repaid by a dedicated tax levy, as well as special assessments that are adopted for that project, and then just under $7.3 million for the water system components that will be funded from net revenues from the city's utility fund. So no anticipated levy supporting that amount of the debt service. Moody's did affirm the city's AA1 credit rating, so congratulations. That is the second highest rating that Moody's does allow for both municipalities as well as any other credit opinion that they provide, whether it's a business or a mutual fund or any other substance. So this places the city in about the 15th percentile amongst all cities and counties that are rated throughout the country, which number in the thousands. So it is a very good rating, and it was positively received. There is a report that Moody's prepares. They do identify that there has been some financial growth within the community, certainly a lot of flexibility with where your fund balance levels are, not just in terms of the general fund, but also looking broadly across all of the government. So your utility funds, the golf course, everything was evaluated, and they gave it a positive sign. They also noted some growth within the local economy, and all of that together, they saw fit to affirm that very strong credit rating. We use that credit rating as a third-party opinion to the marketplace to essentially give or shed some light on what kind of risk the city poses. So what kind of risk the city might face financial uncertainty or might not be able to repay this debt. And that AA1 rating is a very positive sign that there is no anticipation that there would be any such difficulty in the future. And that allows your creditors to offer very low and competitive interest rates in exchange for purchasing the bonds.
See, Nick,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it before. Are there many municipalities of our size that have the highest possible rating? Because I thought it was a little bit rough or hard for us to attain that at our size.
Mr. Mayor, it is a bit of a beauty pageant, so you are evaluated against peer communities, again, not just here in Minnesota, but broadly across the country, as I mentioned. There are, I'd say maybe 18 cities and counties throughout the state of Minnesota that do have what's called a AAA rating, so that's the very highest tier.
Okay.
It's about the top 5th to 7th percentile. If you want to compare it, you're in the 7th to 15th percentile. Those communities typically are very large. They represent very large tax bases. They have wealth and income levels that are a little bit higher than Coon Rapids.
Okay.
But you do share many of the positive signs as well. So in the report, Moody's does actually provide a kind of a financial summary, and it's not as simple as the popular report, but it does give a glimpse at some of the numbers, and it shows where you sit against peer medians in terms of fund balance levels, the size of the tax base, things like that. Most of those indicators, the city is above those levels and shows very, very good signs. There are a few others there where you're kind of towing the line, if you will. Mm-hmm. Again, none of that reflecting necessarily a financial difficulty. Right. Otherwise, it'd be a much lower rating, but maybe not as pretty as some of those other communities. But nevertheless, this is nothing to cast any kind of doubt on the city at all. It's a very positive rating, and it is a very high level.
Yep. Okay. Sorry for derailing you there.
Nope. We also, in the time since the city council authorized these bonds, we verified the various funding amounts and the bond structure. We've noted additional assessment prepayments that have come in for that time. So when assessment prepayments come in, that's cash in hand, and we don't necessarily need to go out and borrow for that amount anymore. So we have made some adjustments there to reflect the latest balances. And then we collected bids on behalf of the city at 10 o'clock this morning, and we had good results. 6 different bidders. These are various firms that represent broker-dealers across the country that deal in the municipal bond space. And in fact, the winning bid from Baird, coming in at a 3.35% indicated interest rate, they actually represent 27 different broker-dealer firms. They're forming a syndicate, a group, essentially. They are based out of Wisconsin. Some of these firms are based out of Minneapolis, as well as Tennessee, Oklahoma, and all across the country. So it's very representative of the entire marketplace and a very good bidding group. I'll also note on here that the high bid was only 0.15 percentage points higher than what was received from Baird, so just under 3.5%. That's a fairly tight shot group, and it represents that this was a very competitive offering, and it represents that the rates that are being proposed are in line with the kind of consensus of the marketplace. So both of those, the number of bids and how close they are together, good signs that we did have a very competitive and a good result. So in addition to the prepaid assessments that have come in and accounting for that, we're also able to reduce the size of the bonds because Baird included within their bid some reoffering premium. Essentially, they're paying higher than face value in exchange for the pricing and coupon interest rates that they're charging. So ultimately, that would result in excess proceeds that would be available to fund projects, but we don't need that amount to continue the CIP and to pay for the full extent of the 23-1 reconstruction project. So we're not turning it back, but we're essentially reducing the bond size in order to make sure that we're funding exactly what we need and not borrowing any more. And so as a result of that, the updated resolution that's included within on the city is calling for not $10 million, but $9,030,000 as the total principal amount that would be up for your authorization. It is split again between the improvement portion of the project as well as the water revenue portion. Each one of those show the actual interest costs of their own component. The improvement has a lower interest simply because it's paid off in a shorter time period. It's paid off in 10 years, whereas the water is stretched out a little bit longer, over 15 years. And so those rates are representative of their share of that overall. And once we make that reduction and we do all the numbers, verify the bid, the final true interest cost in whole of all of this, if you carry this all the way across 15 years, is 3.36%, which is a very competitive rate, and certainly one that we're very pleased with in light of some of the activity that's been happening as far as interest rates over the last couple of months, well, maybe 9 months, quite frankly. So with all that said, I'll be happy to stand for any questions from the council, but there is requested action that the council do approve and lock in these rates through a bond resolution. That resolution, 23-74, would award the sale of $9,030,000 in general obligation improvement and utility revenue bonds, Series 2023A, fixing their form and specifications, directing their execution and delivery, and providing for their payment, just in case you don't want to say it again. That would award the bid to Baird based on their low bid, and as a result of the competitive sale, locks in all the rates. These are fixed rates, as well as the payment schedules, and then would get us set up for closing on July 13th, which is when the funds would be wired into the city's accounts for use on the projects.
And even as nice as Nick said that, one of us still has to make that motion, right? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler.
I'll make a motion to authorize Resolution 23-74, awarding the sale of $9,030,000 in general obligation improvement and utility revenue bonds, Series 2023A, fixing their form and specifications, directing their execution and delivery, and providing for their payment.
Second.
Motion by Geisler and a second by Carlson. Is there further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Thanks, Nick. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Stemwell, can you send us Nick's presentation? Okay, that's got some great information in it. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. All right. And with that, we are up to open mic, public comment. Is anybody here to address council tonight for open mic? All right, please, let's then move up to the podium. Good night, Nick. Open mic provides an opportunity for the public to address the city council on subjects that are not part of the regular meeting agenda. The public is invited to express any concerns they may have which are relevant to the affairs, policies, or practices of the city of Coon Rapids. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes. Should you wish to participate in open mic, please approach the podium and state your name and address before addressing the council, and then all remarks will be made from the podium and addressed to the council as a whole. Open mic is not a time for problem solving or reacting to the comments, but for hearing the speaker for informational purposes only. And any questions from council will be for clarification only. And if necessary, a staff report will be prepared for the next regular council meeting with a copy forwarded to the speaker. So if you name and address, and then you've got 3 minutes.
Yes, do you need specific address?
Well,
Full address?
It should,
Okay.
I'm sorry, it should be your name and then your address so they can mail out a response.
Okay, got you. So my name's Amy Laszlo. My address is 12373 Ilex Street Northwest. I have something prepared on my phone. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm a resident of Coon Rapids. I grew up here. I did move out of state after I graduated, but I moved back several years ago. When I was ready to buy my first house, my husband and I bought our home here in Coon Rapids 2 years ago. I love my neighborhood. I feel so fortunate to live across the street from Bunker Hills. I'm an avid nature lover and animal lover. I think many of us residents love Coon Rapids for its parks, its trails, and being family oriented. A few weeks ago, I drove through Bunker Hills. The sun was setting. It was that beautiful golden hour. The geese were walking across the golf course proudly with their babies, one adult leading in front, one adult in back. I suspect they too felt lucky to be here in Coon Rapids. They looked absolutely gorgeous in the glow of the sun. I'm sure many of us know that drive through Bunker Hills. You can see the sun shining through the trees as you take in the views of wildlife. It was magnificent. I was so disappointed I didn't have my camera. I told my husband about it when I got home. Last week I was driving through Bunker Hills again, only this time what I saw happening to the geese was heartbreaking. They were being rounded up. They sounded distressed. They were being picked up by their wings and taken away. I called the city for answers. I emailed Tim Hammer's office. I was reassured by a woman over the phone that the geese were merely being relocated. She specifically told me they were not being destroyed. I cried and I begged them to come back for the lone goose that was left behind. It was standing where the geese had been taken, looking for its family. And excuse me. As a resident, I deserve transparency, and I want to know what's happening to these geese. I want to know if more geese roundups are planned and how many have been killed. It is not accurate to say they are being relocated if they are being relocated to be used for food or put on a wolf preserve. Today I got the confirmation they are being killed. Imagine throwing a helpless kitten into a dog fight. So yes, what does the city mean when they say these birds are being relocated? Why was I told they are not being destroyed when they are? What happens to these birds when they are removed? How are they killed? Are they literally tossed to the wolves, unable to fly? Are they gassed? Who is the company we use for the geese removal, and how much does this cost the taxpayers? I want to know how much say the golf course has in this decision. Anoka County Parks has responded, saying they are not removing geese from their park. So it begs the question why the city of Coon Rapids is removing the geese from the golf course. Had they moved to the other side of the fence, they would be alive. I can remember a time living in Coon Rapids before Riverdale was built. We have continued to take over land, we have not built habitats for the animals, and now we are getting more aggressive in the removal of wildlife. This does not have to be the way for Coon Rapids. We can show compassion. The Humane Society of the United States of America outlines more humane methods, and in fact, some cities nearby have started using them. I imagine when these geese landed, they were also happy they found the perfect habitat. The short grass that they like, water, a clear view so they can keep a watchful eye over their babies, as they are known to do. Little did these protective parents know, they had made a fatal mistake. They were not safe. Their babies were not safe. They had made the unfortunate mistake of landing here in Coon Rapids. Their death warrant approved by the City Council of Coon Rapids. We had designed the perfect landscape for them, and we did nothing to protect them. I want to be clear, I'm not here to place blame on Tim Himmer. He is following what is approved by the City Council, but in 2017, there was a CARE 11 article on this issue. Tim Himmer talked about using other methods to deter geese and try to reduce the need for their removal. What other methods have been used?
Are you close?
Yes. Yes, I'm almost done. So sorry. I'm told this happens the same time every single year. This seems like it's just routine. What else is being done? We have budgeted $330,000 this year for a new fairway mower, golf carts, and building improvements. We spend $2.5 million in park maintenance and ground maintenance for the city. So tonight, I urge you to reconsider this matter. I urge you to find a more humane way to handle our wildlife. Just a few years ago, one of the photo contest winners of our city was a baby geese. I wonder if those geese ended up being taken away and killed. When we see Facebook posts from our local fire departments when they save ducklings from the storm drains, we see Facebook posts from our local fire departments when they save ducklings from our storm drains. When we see animals in distress, we don't turn away. Do not ease your conscience by hiding behind euphemisms like relocation. When we've hired the contractors, let's open our heart and minds. Let's work together to do better. Let's invest in better ways. Do not let this be the face of our golf course. And these are the pictures. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else here to address council for open mic? Okay, we will close the open mic portion. And we are up to other business. Mr.
Mr. Mayor? I'll
Councilmember
do
Geisler?
the ancillary things before we get into 4th of July. How about? So there's a number of things, and you can always look at the city website for all kinds of information. In our calendar, we've got Rec on the Spot that is scheduled for, Wednesday and Thursday of this week and Monday through Thursday next week. We have our farmers market that's each Wednesday, and so that will be tomorrow and next Wednesday at the Ice Arena. And this Thursday is our concert in the park with the Rockin' All-Stars. So lots of fun activities happening around the city, and, please make sure that we go out and do that. And then next Tuesday, so a week from today, is again our Summer in the City. It's where we take all of our city staff and all the different departments, so you can learn about all the different departments. The council is there, and we meet in one of the parks. And next week, we will be at Woodcrest Park, and that starts at 6:30.
Okay. Mr. Stemmel, do we have information that we can present, or that we want to present on the geese tonight?
The goose management plan is available on the city website.
Mayor, Council, I'm not necessarily prepared to answer all the questions that were posed here
Oh,
tonight.
no,
but-
I know. I didn't know if we had a response, or because we knew this was coming. I didn't know
Sure.
if there was a response that Mr. Himmer had wanted, or,
You know,
because I don't think the geese are being fed to the wolves. I think they're being relocated to a very large sanctuary that has lots of wetlands and things, but. So anyway, all right, okay, so we'll move on to the 4th of July, and you'll get your response in the mail. Okay, thank you.
To that end, though, Mayor and Council, we do have a goose management plan that is approved by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. As it's a migratory bird, there are certain rules we have to follow in that regard. There is a certain time of year that geese can be managed or removed. And so some of that's detailed in the plan. We have to fill out a report that is submitted to the DNR. So I can gather some more of the specifics and certainly in the response
Sure.
to the resident, but I don't, there were several questions asked. I guess I'm not prepared to answer.
Yeah, no, I
tonight.
didn't,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting
Yep.
you to address all of them
Yeah,
tonight. Okay.
that's all right, thank you.
Very good. All right. This is our last meeting before the 4th of July, and we have a really big celebration planned this year. It's going to start Sunday, July 2nd. It's going to start with a parade at 1 o'clock. And then there's an all-class high school reunion that night from 5 to 10. Monday is the car show, and I don't remember what's going on that night. And then Tuesday is obviously the 4th of July, and we've got, I think, $70,000 in fireworks to blow off the roof of our brand-new fire station. First time that's been done, I believe, certainly here.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And with that, I think it's key to note that, well, this is for the city, our Fire Relief Association, our Community Strength Foundation, are really the impetus and the supporters of, and fund a lot of the 4th of July celebration too. So
Yeah.
it's not like this is taxpayers.
Nope, nope. And bingo's back.
Bingo's back.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
That was a big one, yep.
Oh, and Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
One other thing, because the first Tuesday in July is the 4th of July, our council meeting will be on Wednesday, the 5th. So don't come on the 4th to expect a meeting. City Hall will be closed.
all right. Other business. Oh, Councilmember Novak.
No, I was just going to say, Councilmember Geisler actually stole the cookie off of my plate a little bit, but yeah, the next Summer in the City, Woodcrest Park, will actually be Ward 3. I want to personally invite everybody in Ward 3 to come out. Let's see if we can beat the total from the last one. That was pretty good turnout.
Moore Park is always a good turnout.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. If you're going to get every one of them, though, they're
I
going to
think we
need more
should.
ice cream.
I think we should.
Yeah,
That'd be a good problem to have.
yeah. Mr. Puchacone, you look like you're chomping at the bit to tell us something over there.
I am,
He's got an answer.
not Judge. Mr. Mayor. I punted earlier, I don't have to. The quick work of Ms. Lenzmeyer got me the lease agreement from the original lease agreement on T-Mobile. It escalates at 4% per annum.
Okay. Thank you. I thought that, but I appreciate you looking it up. Thank you so much.
Do you feel better?
I do.
All right. Other business to come before council.
Mayor, Council, just one item, if I may.
Yes.
The city is actually selling smart irrigation controllers at a discount right now. They opened on the 19th, and I believe are still available as it's on our website. I meant to get.
Well, since none were sold yesterday
Yes.
because we were closed.
It was closed. They weren't sold out today. It's actually a pretty substantial discount on the Ratio controllers, if we want to say that. $35 plus tax for an 8-zone controller that retails at $200, and the 16-zone controller, which is typically $250, we're selling at 45 plus tax through the benefit of a grant we received in this past year. So something to look at, actually have the same model, not through the city. I bought it a few years ago, and they're very handy, and just sort of set it and forget it, and adjust for you when it rains and it's windy, and
Yeah.
pretty neat.
As long as you're a resident of Coon Rapids and using city water for your
Correct.
irrigation
Yes,
system.
those are great points to make, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know, because I don't qualify. I mean, I live here, but. All right, any other business to come before council? Okay,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
motion by Geisler, second by Novak to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, here, we're adjourned.
There you go.